Whichever Path contains scenes and depictions of violence, adult content, foul language, and other situations that some people may find objectionable. Listener discretion is advised. It is the middle of summer in New England. When we last talked to you, the snow had finally melted from the ground, and we had just finished a piece of Somewhere Else, where a man's winter walk turned into something foul, and his fate was sealed by the choices that you helped him make. And then winter became spring, spring became summer, and now here we are, at the end of July, bringing you a new story. One that's sure to provide you with some surprises and tough calls to make. And this one features a protagonist who was first featured in 2019's Patreon stories. But you don't need them to enjoy this one. You can start this story today whether you're an old fan or a new listener. Let's get right into it, shall we? Whichever Path presents Message in a Bottle, Part 1. Singing Scales.
The water is quiet today before dawn. The working men are already out to sea by now, and those who anchor their little boats near Pickering Wharf won't see me as I make my way out to my favorite rocks after I get in the water. It's getting across the beach and back without being stopped by someone I'm afraid of. The stony path from the apartment is cool on my feet, and no one in my neighborhood seems to be awake. The morning, for the moment, is mine. The cloth mask I wear over my mouth is warm and moist from my breath. My scars itch underneath the cotton, but I don't dare take it off. Not until I get to the water. Bella is staying with me this week, helping with various tasks that have proven difficult in the years since the world reopened. The lease of my little studio is in her name. I've never seen the landlord, and he has thankfully never seen me. She says that as long as people are paid and there are no complaints, they stay away. She's been correct, so far. Old black seaweed lines the shore. I'm tempted to pull up an armful and drape it across my shoulders like a boa, to sway my hips and dance across the sand in time to the calm sighs of the waves. To harmonize my voice with the tide, without fear or consequence. But as I begin to open my mouth, the tightness of my cheek reminds me why I can't. I put my yellow towel on the sand, and then I strip off my summer dress before slinging the cord of my knit bag across my shoulder. The chilly breeze feels good against my skin. It's been a week since I've been in proper water. I run towards the small waves lapping onto the shore and dive into the dark. It feels good to breathe this way again. The air of Salem is too dry. I've been soaking in the tub for hours a day, but it's not the same. Here, in the dark, under it all, I feel like myself again. The water is warmer than it was in Maine. I tried telling Bella that, but she looked at me like I was mad. It tickles my sides as I breathe in, And when I exhale, I feel the little current of the breath on my arms while I kick myself forward. My eyes adjust to the dark water quickly. On the ocean floor, there are glints of shiny plastic and yet to be corroded metal, refuse from the people who crowd the water's surface. Occasionally, I feel the vibrations of a school of mackerel and a dogfish swimming in their wake. As I swim further out, I feel the undercurrent pull at me, and I let it aid in my swim. After some time, I see the rocks before me, jutting up from the ocean floor and breaking up through the waves above my head. I prepare to begin my ascent when I hear it. Glass knocks against the outcropping. It's a bottle. I'm curious. How it's still intact and afloat is a mystery. I grab it in my left hand and swim around the rocks to find the safest place to pull myself up without risking my find. The pre-dawn sky is deep blue above me. I can smell the mussels that are living on the eastern side of this rock, and I will take some of them on my way home. But first, this bottle. The glass is thick, and while it's still too dark to determine its color, it's likely green. It's made for wine. It's not too heavy, but it isn't empty. And there's some liquid at the bottom, but something else within. A type of cloth? I'm intrigued. I'll open it after I finish my routine. Here, a good 2 miles from shore, I won't be heard, I don't think. I place the bottle into a deep divot on the rock and sit up straight, my feet still in the water. I fill my lungs with air and I begin to sing. The notes pull away the cowl of my near constant anxiety and guard. I'm younger, whole again. I sing to the beautiful young man who heard me on his kayak near Stage Island, Richie. His beautiful brown skin and calm eyes looking at me with lust and wonder as he paddled closer to me, my arms outstretched to him. How my stomach's rumbling was subsided by the moment he reached into his bag and presented me with a fish he'd caught. And instead of sinking my teeth into a handsome man, I ate his offering, and confused by his gesture, and how he didn't judge or look away from my sharp teeth tearing into his catch, I slipped off my perch by the shore and disappeared into the kelp and shadows until he paddled away. And how he began doing this every 5th day for weeks, drawn in by my song, feeding me, making it so I was less tempted to sing on the days he didn't come in order to lure a man into my embrace. I remember the smell of his scalp, the texture of his lips on mine, the gifts he brought me on the first time we made love. Within months, I even invited him to my home, the old colonial my family had built by the sea, and a spot yet to be incorporated into any town. He was happy to stay with me when he wasn't working on his lobster boat. But the world of the mainland is not simple, and a man came, someone Richie knew, Lionel. He smelled of nicotine and a chemical that made me dizzy. The scabs on his arms were jagged and ever-present. And his own song to Richard was one of money and obligation. And while I sang my Richie to sleep, I would kiss away his uncertainties and get him to promise me that Lionel was not going to take him from me. But it was the sea that took Richie. And then it was Lionel, who with his knife and horror at seeing me for what I was, took away everything else. My voice cracks. With a sob, I lower my voice as the memory of Bella, my land-loving cousin, finding me on the shore, weak and dying, taking me away from the burning remains of my family home, down here, where I somehow can hide among people, despite everything. I will sing to Richie, lost to the deep until I die. I love you. Something taps against the glass from within. With the sky turning a lighter shade of blue, I lift the bottle up to get a better look. The cloth had covered a shiny piece of jewelry that slipped from the wrapping. It's knocking against the glass. A thin gold chain with a pendant in the shape of some winged creature? It swings back and forth on its chain like a pendulum. But the charm only hits one side of the bottle. West. Back toward the mainland. Back toward Salem. I wonder if I should open this here to take a closer look. Or should I bring it back home with me?
The choice before you is clear. Does our aquatic friend open the bottle now, or does she take it home first? Or maybe there's a third option. Does she instinctually toss the bottle back into the sea? You can vote now at whicheverpath.com/vote. You have until August 7th to decide what happens next. Whichever Path is Journey and Etienne Lafont. This episode was written and produced by Etienne. Our siren was voiced by Valentine Buchanan. The Whichever Path theme was written and produced by Ryder. Foley for this episode was provided by Whichever Path, and supplementary audio was produced by Audio Hero. The song A Mermaid's Eulogy is by Etienne Rousseau, and it comes courtesy of Epidemic Sound. You can find all sorts of royalty-free music and sound effects at epidemicsound.com. One more thing before you go. If you like what you hear, please give a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, recommend it to your friends, share it wherever, follow us on social media. And if you've got the scratch, we really live and die by your subscriptions. So go to patreon.com/whicheverpath and sign up for one of our tiers where you can get exclusive behind-the-scenes content, new episodes, and more. Thank you for listening. Please vote, and remember to sleep with a clear consequence. Choose the path.